When you cast Max Greenfield in a role where he says, "Oh my god, did you kill the stripper last night?" It will be extremely hard for people that have seen New Girl not to imagine Schmidt saying that. The way that he's framed, the way that Greenfield delivers it, his body posture, it looks exactly like Schmidt. And when this happened in the movie, I could not stop laughing. Last night I saw Promising Young Woman, directed by Emerald Fennell, starring Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham. And if I'm being honest, right off the bat, this movie is not stylistic enough for me. It doesn't feel unique and new enough for me. The trailer feels like a completely different movie, the way that it's cut and the music choices in it. And for the topic that this film is tackling, it needs to be something a lot different about it in order for it to stand out to audiences. And nothing about this movie feels original. It's all cookie cutter and samey to every other low budget drama that is being released nowadays. The film just feels bland, for lack of a better term. Films like Thoroughbreds and Flower from a couple years ago, I don't want to say tackled similar topics because they didn't. But all three films are shooting for the same tone and feel. And while Thoroughbreds and Flower each clearly have their own stylistic nature to them, Promising Young Women is boring compared. It really is. It doesn't stand out amongst the crowd enough for anybody to really take something home and be like, wow, I really felt like my money was well spent watching this movie. I like Carey Mulligan. I do. She's good in this movie with what she's given, and she's good in everything else that I've ever seen her in. But somewhere along the production of this film, someone fucked up. Mulligan, granted, is still a very, very young actress, but they outright show and tell the audience this character is supposed to be 30 years old. Nothing about this character tells the audience that they are 30 years old. It does not come across well. It's not conveyed nearly enough the age of this character. Everybody else around here feels like an accurate representation of what age she is supposed to be. But later in the movie, she goes to somebody, and I swear to God, it was another one of her friends from college that knew her and the girl who has passed away. I swear to God, they were friends. It turns out the woman that she spoke to was her mother, the girl's mother. They looked exactly the same age-wise. I could not tell that this character was supposed to be somebody else's mother. And then you go from the costuming and the makeup choices and designs for Mulligan, and it feels as if they had another actress lined up for this movie, and she dropped out last minute, and Mulligan got slotted in. And they just decided to do nothing with her. With the makeup, the costume, her nail polish. The entire movie, it's almost as if the director and the movie wants you to think that the traumatic event that happened in the past to Mulligan's character, it tells me that it stunted her growth. That what happened affected her in a way that she was never able to get out of that phase if she wasn't in college. But it's never properly explained or conveyed to the audience that this is what we're supposed to believe. She's a 30-year-old woman with multicolored nail polish that dresses like a 20-year-old LA hipster. It's not conveyed to the audience at all what this character is supposed to be. Some fits look great on her, but some other wardrobe choices feel like it's for a different actress and not for Mulligan. Now, like I said, I liked Mulligan's acting job in this movie. I thought she was great. She does feel miscast at times, like I said. However, I will say her on-screen chemistry with Bo Burnham was a bright spot in the overall film for me. As for all the other side characters played by Clancy Brown, Jennifer Coolidge, Alison Brie, Connie Bratton, and Chris Lowell, they all feel half-assed. They feel like, oh, do you want to get a paycheck? You want to pop in and film for a day and leave? That's what all of these roles feel like. Especially Connie Bratton. She was not good as the dean of the school. I did not buy her performance. I didn't buy her acting. None of it. None of it was conveyed very well at all. In one-on-one dialogue scenes, I will say one of the brightest parts of the film, the camera work was fantastic. I love the way that they framed specific characters based on what was going on with them relating to what the actual story, and the camera movements in said scenes really did a great job of showing the mindset that these characters are in with what is being presented to them, with how they're being treated, with what's being shown to them, with how they're supposed to act given the situation that they're in right now. It really works great for conveying that tone, something that is missing from the rest of the film. Another thing that I did like is near the end of the film, I didn't like the score at all. Any of the musical choices, if there was original music, I didn't like any of it. I didn't think any of it was done very well throughout the entire film. But they use an orchestral version of Toxic by Britney Spears, and it is fantastic. It is the one good point of the movie that it actually conveys tone, that actually says something without having to say anything. It's great, and I really wish they had done more with it. And Carey Mulligan, she ends up drugging the guys at the bachelor party, and the scene where she does it, the montage, that is the style, that is the look that this movie is pleading to have more of. There's simply not enough of it. And if it had been more of that, it would have been leaps and bounds better. Now, maybe I think poorly upon this film because I went into it expecting something completely different, to be fair. But nevertheless, whether it's presented to me in the way that I expected or not, this film does not convince myself or frankly the audience that any right decision was made in the process of producing this film. If there is a message at all, it's so muddled and lost that the audience can't take anything from it. And there is nothing to be enjoyed in the entire movie. Yes, I realize this is a heavier tone movie, and you really shouldn't be enjoying things that are going on. But at the end of the movie, when Carey Mulligan, spoilers, ends up getting killed, I didn't care. I didn't give a shit that the character was dead. I didn't give a shit that she was gone, that her whole plight of trying to get revenge for her friend was over. I just didn't give a shit. And that's the biggest sin of this movie. It does not allow the audience to connect with Mulligan's character whatsoever. I was given no reason to root for her, no reason to care for her, or frankly anything that was going on in the film. The film gave no way for the audience to connect with Mulligan on anything other than a basal level. I did not care for this movie. And to have it present a topic that is so important, so hot button, I just wish it had been handled in a better way, because I don't think any of it was handled correctly at all. This movie is getting great reviews from everywhere else, and I might be completely in the minority as just some dumb white guy idiot that didn't understand the movie, that didn't like it. I understand. But to me, this movie offers nothing, and I'll forget about it within the week. It's not terrible. It's just not a good movie. 45 out of 100.